Imagine if that head trash was not there. Who would you be? What if I told you those fears were no longer a problem? What would you do? I'm Stephanie Costello, a mom of 3, wife, and avid mountaineer. Beyond all of these, I am very much like you, an average person trying to navigate this thing we call life. My goal with this podcast is to bring to light the truth about what intimacy really is. You may smile, feel called out, or learn something new. Either way, you will learn you are in control. This episode is brought to you by Safety in Freedom. Are you struggling to find safety in the freedom you create? Or maybe you're struggling to own your power, embrace who you are, and break free from those toxic patterns? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's figure out what is really happening in your relationships with yourself and others. You can do that for free today at safetyinfreedom.com/call. That is safetyinfreedom.com/call. In addition, if you are looking for support with what we've been talking about in today's episode, I want to encourage you to get our free tools to help you navigate your freedom. You can go now to safetyinfreedom.com to get those resources. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit theintimacykruths.com. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing to you Kyle and Renee Bayless, who absolutely love what they do, helping families protect their loved ones and their lives through insurance. As a couple, both are passionate about working with people, and they are naturally helpers by nature. So supporting individuals, families, and businesses seemed like a natural path. Kyle is native to New Hampshire and served in the Army Reserves for 17 years. He is an avid volunteer. One of Kyle's favorite hobbies is being outside and enjoying all that this beautiful state has to offer. Renee moved to New Hampshire when she was 10 and has grown deep roots in her time here. Between her 10 years experience in early childhood education and running the kids ministry at her church, Renee is most often doing what she loves when she's putting others first. That and sipping on her favorite tea with a good book. Both enjoy spending time with their children, being active outdoors, especially when volunteering with Special Olympics in both the summer and winter seasons. All right. Welcome to the Intimacy Truth Podcast, where we are talking to Renee and Kyle about running a family and a business together. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You are very welcome. So tell us, where did your journey start? Actually, let's talk about like the beginning of COVID journey starting. And you did start your business around then too, right?
We were 1 year in, right around the start of COVID.
Oh, okay. So you had some time to play catch up, or you're a little bit in advance than those of us who either started in the beginning of COVID, like me, January 2020 is when I started, and then COVID hit, and I was just like, well, here we go. Let's try to figure this out. And then your family, how long have you been married?
6 years married.
Oh, yeah, you remember.
I always have to think because we eloped and then we did the ceremony. So it's kind of like, which date do we run by?
Yes,
Yeah,
I always say
third anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. I always say I earned the first 3 years, so we've been together 10, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So how long have you been totally together?
9 years.
Yep.
9 years. Awesome. And then children?
4. We're a blended family, so we've
4
got yours,
children.
mine, and ours. Our oldest is a senior this year, and our youngest is going into kindergarten.
Oh, wow. Quite the age
Yeah.
gap.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And running a business together.
Yes.
Yeah. That's like the 5th baby that nobody talks about being a child, but it is like running a child.
Yeah. Never a dull moment.
Nope. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So tell us, what are some of the challenges that you've hit in your journey? And I know you mentioned a couple before we started recording, Renee. If you want to take it from there, go for it.
Well, there's the fact that neither of us had run a business before. So that was challenge number 1. Definitely running it together, being people that organize very differently and figuring out how we could kind of blend that well. Definitely took some intentionality. And then there was a couple of different family things that have cropped up over the years. More recently, this past year, we kind of had 2 that were back to back, which when you're family run, makes it a little bit more challenging.
Especially when it comes to, it's not like you can ask somebody for help or have somebody who can pick up where you left off. It usually, especially in the beginning too, where there's not a lot of clarity, or often you know what to do, but there's no paper or book that says how to do it, so that somebody else can pick up where you left off until later on in the business growth. Is that where you both are at right now?
Yeah, 100%. And still having people that need us. Our clients rely on us, you know. They need us to do our job, whether we have stuff going on or not.
It's true. Very true.
That's actually one of our core values is strength in the face of adversity. And I think the past year and a half definitely speaks to adversity.
And navigating it. And so when there's the personal adversity, both just being the cool thing about your dynamic is you have all of these titles that you carry, these hats that you wear. You have the parenting hat, you have the homeowner hat, you have the insurance or the business hat, you have the self hat, which is the first one I should have mentioned. You each are individuals alone, and then you have all of this stuff that you blend together. Then you have the extended family hat, and there's all these different things that as a society we have for roles that we play in our society. And you've already hit really well on it in the beginning, where you talk about figuring out how to navigate it with each other and figuring out each other's differences. And you spoke about how you both have different organizational skills, which is natural. We all as individuals have our own organizational skills. And the challenge comes when it's trying to figure out how to make it work, how to accommodate, how to collaborate, how to compromise with each other. So share with me a little bit of your journey on what it has been like to be able to figure out how to do that together.
Well, we could describe her desk as neat as a pin, and we can describe my desk as organized chaos.
Okay.
And I think one of the struggles we really had to come over, and there's especially one moment that comes into mind particularly. I was in the middle of working on something and I had a pile of folders and one folder on top of it. And she came over and like picked up the pile of folders, and I was like, nope, I'm literally in the middle of working on that. So it was definitely my desk stays a little chaotic. Her desk stays nice and neat.
And you're not allowed to touch her desk, right?
Right.
And vice versa.
There was a few times where I would come and put something down on her desk or whatever, and then she would come into the office and she's like, what's going on here?
Right. Even if it's just like a folder where it doesn't belong. I'm that way as well. And my husband is also the organized chaos. It's like everything has its place. If you would just put things back where it belongs, your life wouldn't be as challenging. And he's starting to figure that out, which is really cool. Is that something you're starting to navigate and shift, or is it just you enjoy the way things are and you're fine with working in that organized chaos?
I feel a little better working in organized chaos.
Yeah.
People don't always understand it, but there's a pile of folders on my desk that I'm looking at right now, and I know each and everything in that pile, and it's all in chronological order, and I know what needs to be done with each piece of it.
And you're
So
someone
I'm sorry.
No, please go for it.
I was going to say, we just kind of had to agree to respect each other's space. Like if you're going to give me a folder that requires something specific, put it in its appropriate zone. When you put it in my space, and I promise not to rifle through yours. And that seemed to be the best way to kind of go forward with letting us be ourselves.
I love that. And if the folders weren't put in the right zone, right, that stays in the office, doesn't go home with you. Is that true? And that's not easy to do. And it can still emotionally come home, right? But then it's important to remember that when you walk out of the office, that hat stays there. And then when you come into the house, you pick up a new hat. And then if there's a need for collaboration, do you have staff meetings?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Bayless is your last name, right? So do you have like Bayless Corporation staff meetings where you talk about all the different categories? Like that's kind of what I picture life being like.
Pretty much. We call it Team Bayless. I was actually joking with him yesterday. We need to just create our own hashtag, because if we don't work together as a team, we're going to fall apart. But yeah, we'll sit down a couple of times a week and I'm like, all right, we got to go through like what are we doing? Let's touch base. Let's spend 15 minutes. Let's organize this. That way I know what I'm doing. You know what you're doing. Because we share a calendar, but that doesn't always tell you everything that's involved in said task.
All the little mini steps that it takes, right? Like who's going to make the lunch and who's going to go grocery shopping and who is putting the things on the grocery list that we know we need to have on the list. And I know the 5 things, but you have 5 different things. So how are we going to get those 5 things on the same list so that we can get to the point of making the lunches and all the other duties that happen? There's a lot of little nuanced tasks. And even this is something that a lesson I've learned with having an assistant. It's like we both can do the same thing, but I got to make sure we're not overlapping each other and wasting time and doing things doubly and all that other stuff. So if we expand that on all the other areas of life, it can get very cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it. So tell me, what made you choose insurance?
I chose him.
Yeah.
That's how I got here.
Yeah. I always say it was a lot of prayer and faith. You know, I was in this job that I loved doing it. I worked in the dental field. I was making dentures. It was a job that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I had just kind of hit this plateau though. There was nowhere to really go above and beyond with the company that I was at. You know, I'd grown as far as I could. But it wasn't paying the bills at the end of the day. You know, it wasn't taking care of the family. And I just kept praying that something would come my way. And then met this guy at my church. He came down for like a small group meeting. He offered me a job with a different company. It wasn't really a good fit. He just did life insurance. I wanted to do more than that. I wanted to have the full gamut so that I could be a one-stop shop for a client and help them with all their insurance needs at one place. And then she reminded me that there was another guy that went to our church who was the general agent. He was in charge of all of New Hampshire, and he also did insurance. So I sat down with him for an interview. It was night and day difference. You know, it was the company was very warm and inviting. It had the option to do more than just life insurance, and it just really seemed like a good fit. And it seemed like a good fit for our family. And the company that we represent was very family centric, very family focused.
That's awesome. Super empowering. And so had you had any experience in sales prior to?
A little bit, you know, not much. I worked at Sears in the lawn and garden department doing sales for lawn and garden equipment. So it was salesy, you know, I was commission based, but it was nothing like this. This is a very different world.
Yeah, it very much is. And there's a lot of need-based interactions with clients where they're in the middle of a crisis and they feel like you're either going to make it or break it for their crisis. And so there can be a lot different challenge where there's a need to have a lawnmower, but that's really cool to be able to go and buy a lawnmower. It's not fun having to buy or handle insurance claims and all that other stuff. You're holding up a lot of people's financials when you're doing what you do. And so it's definitely very challenging to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Which adds another layer to your very eclectic story.
Right.
I'm curious. So one of the things that I really am passionate about is learning about people and their how they make their individuality shine in their story or their situation or their life. And so there is a need to be very structured and specific and clear in your life between all the different hats that you wear and carry and bags that you carry, right? So how do you create that space to make sure things are done effectively, but also where you get to thrive as individuals in your environment?
You go ahead.
Okay.
I can see you've got something.
Well, so because it's as you're asking the question, I'm laughing in my head. So I have the neat desk and I like the tasks and the lists and I want everything checked off. But when it comes to the business, I'm let's plan this event. Let's put this crazy workshop together. Let's do these big things. And I'm
creative.
I'm far less efficient at the details of the nuances to the different style policies and stuff like that. So it's very often I actually have to hand off someone that I've made a contact with him if it's a very niche type of policy and say, hey, he's the better one for you to speak to. He's the one who has that organization in his head that can kind of offer that. So it's a very funny balance, give and take, where I'm just kind of the tasks in the office, the maintaining the policies, the making sure things don't fall through the cracks in that way. But then on the other hand, I'm the big picture, big swoop type of component. And then I take all of that and I hand it to him and say, here you go, put it together. You do well with the building blocks where I don't,
You like to gather the blocks and he kind of puts them together.
Yeah, he towers them together. And then once they're assembled, then I just maintain them.
Yes, exactly. Recently I was having a conversation with my business mentor, and we were talking about the difference between visionary and implementer, and the visionary one and then the implementer. And this also is like entrepreneur and business owner, right? So the entrepreneur tends to be the more creative, the more visionary individual, or not that entrepreneur or business owner are two. You can have both of those feelings and skills in one individual, and you both do have them, because if you didn't have them in yourselves, then it would be tough to also have them in each other, because you have to be able to speak each other's language. And so the business owner tends to go to the meetings and go deep and build the building blocks piece to it, right? And then there's, again, that visionary piece, how that entrepreneurship comes into play. If you didn't have that entrepreneurship blood in you, Kyle, to go and build a business wouldn't have been something that would have really happened, because most people don't wake up and go, I want to be a business owner today. It's like they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to change lives, so you have that visionary skill in a different way, which is really cool to be seeing the ways that you have them differently, and how your puzzle pieces, although they may not feel like they fit well together every single day because of emotions and human, challenges, but you do have the core foundation of a good structure for the two of you to thrive successfully, which is really cool.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do it all on my own. I did have an entrepreneurial mindset for a long time. I wanted to open up my own dental lab. But when I started calling around other labs and interviewing, it was basically everybody was shutting their doors because they couldn't keep up with the company that I was working with. So it came time to, let's find another business plan. Got into the world of insurance. It really kicked off pretty fast. I really enjoyed it because it, gave me the freedom to do, to live my life the way I wanted to. But very soon on, I realized I need some help. So I, said, hey, can you come into the office a few days a week, few hours here and there, and just sort of fill in until we can afford to bring on somebody else. And what became a part-time thing for a few months is now 2.5, almost 3 years into it, and we're still going.
Yeah,
that's so awesome. And how does your family, your children and your family, like your household family structure, work while the two of you are working?
That's a constant ebb and flow change. So we've got 2 transitions during the week, just with acquiring and releasing children back to the other houses.
Oh, yes.
And then we have the youngest who's home all the time. So it kind of just depends on what we have going on. So for today, we needed kind of a quiet day. Our youngest was really tired, and because we have the flexibility, I let him sleep late. He's not quite in public school yet. We start that next week, and we had a quiet day. So they got to spend the morning in their pajamas. They're in the next room hanging out watching TV while we do this. And this is our only task for today as a family. And then there are other days where he and I are basically playing like relay race, and I'm dropping them off and he's picking them up, and he's taking them to the chiropractor, and I'm going to go later and he's going to make dinner and I'll do the dishes and come home and put them to bed. So it really just depends on the day.
Very cool. And I love how
this week alone, I think we hit the full spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah. This
Tues-
was a busy week.
Yeah, Tuesday she was home late, and then last night I didn't get home until about 10:30. And
Yep.
And then the fact that you're integrating quiet days or relaxed days, right? That's so beautiful. One of the things that I am passionate about talking about is from kindergarten on, we're taught how to work a 9 to 5 job. We're taught how to listen to somebody else's rules. We're taught how to ask to go to the bathroom. I remember when my first grader was coming home and she's raising her hand, Mommy, can I go to the bathroom? It's like, you're not asking to go to the bathroom. You're making your teacher aware that you need to go to the bathroom because your teacher is responsible for you. And she's like, but I have to ask. And it's like, oh, that just lights a fire underneath me, because we're not teaching independence. We're not teaching their ability to make decisions on their own. And even if they're going to the bathroom 3, 4, 5 times, maybe they're having a stressful time and they deserve to go take a space in the bathroom and just relax and hang out, right? And so you're teaching them that by giving them the space to take a day off. It's really great when we do get 100% attendance. I'm very proudful. In the last year, I had 100% attendance in our networking group that we mutually have together, right? But there's days where it's like, if I actually needed the time off, I'm still going to be okay with the fact that I'm not going to have 100% attendance. And that's because I need to make sure I'm taking care of myself. So the two of you, at least the way you're presenting, is your communication is, even though you might not always be on the same page, you still have a very strong foundation of communication. You have a very strong foundation on your family structure and dynamic. And actually, so tell me more about your parenting styles, or your parenting beliefs, or parenting, things that you crave to teach your children. Do you both tend to be on the same page with those? No, that's okay. And go ahead.
On a lot of things, we definitely agree on a lot of
The big things, the
Yeah.
pillars
yeah.
Yes.
matter. The methodology, right?
Is different.
Yeah.
But
Which
we
is
have
across
two
the
very
board.
different parenting stories too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has, so the yours, mine, and ours. So Leah
Yeah.
is 17. And he's co-parented with someone who just is a very different personality than me. And there's
Yeah.
a different structure to her time with us.
Yeah.
Then there's myself, who has a degree in early childhood education. I spent a long time working with young kids. So then I have 2 from my prior marriage, which has its own structure. And there's a very clear 50-50 structure. And, the way we've kind of grown through our separation, my ex-husband and myself, and how we manage the kids. So then we try to put them together, and then we have the ours, who is this fabulous combination of the 2 of us, which is wonderful and challenging to raise because we're both so strong-willed. So then we go through having one who's home full time.
Yeah.
And I have the way I've done it, or did it when mine were younger. And then he's got the way he's parented. So it's an ever changing, like, how do you feel about this? What about that? And constantly trying to grow in our ways of communicating. That way we're not undermining each other, but still, like, you have to keep each other in check, right? Because we all have emotional times where we go over the edge and we need to hold each other accountable,
Right.
but doing it respectfully with the kids
is very important. And by no means is this an easy thing. The way you're talking about it and the way you're expressing it is like, it's very calm and collected, and right. And so you're doing a very good job with it hearing each other out just in sitting here. It's so easy to go down a rabbit hole, be like, that one thing and the methodology is not the right. And right, if we went into detail of what that would be, it's important to be heard. It's important to understand your intentions. It's important to validate each other. And then it's important to also take action and commit to what you're saying you're going to commit to. And also not expecting 100% perfection, because what I also like to share is, when we're raised as humans, you both had very different upbringings. So not only did you have different parenting styles prior to your current relationship, you also had very different upbringings. And so what the word love right? The both of you, when I said the word love, you have images in your head about what love means to you. And so you're saying, I love you. And that means very different things for the both of you. You have your different dictionaries of what love means, or any of the other words that we use to describe our world. And so it's important just to try to be like, okay, this is what I'm understanding. This is the picture I have in my head. Am I in the right ballpark, or should I change my picture a little bit here? And again, even though it might not happen all the time, it seems like you do have that really strong core foundation of being able to overcome it when you don't have it.
I think we do pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah.
It would have been awkward to disagree with me there, but
No, you don't do well
No,
at
it would have
all.
been a good opportunity to have the conversation and utilize the skills that I just said that you had, which is too
No,
funny.
to be honest, she's definitely done a lot of teaching me and
Mm.
reining me back, because yes, I've got a very aggressive parenting style. We'll call it that. That's a nice way to call it.
Yeah.
But she's definitely done a lot of reining me in and like, all right, how did you really want to say that? And
yeah, I had read a thing somewhere that, basically was, instead of saying you could have done this better or you should have, because should is such a bad
Shoulds,
word.
coulds, can'ts, won'ts, wouldn'ts,
Yep.
those are all bad words.
Yeah, all of those. I know this isn't the way you want it to come across, so what can I help you in the future?
Yes.
And things like that.
That knowing is very important. That belief, basically what you did is you didn't take it personally. You didn't take on whatever his message that he may have been conveying with his tone. And just so you know, Kyle, you are not broken. She has great training. And those of us who have gone to school for psychology or working with human development have a very different skill set and knowledge base that is not taught on a basic level in any way, shape, or form, even in schools. You do have to go to school to get that basic human knowledge, that human development, how the brain develops, and so on. So kudos to you for being open to learning instead of saying, well, you're wrong, or anything else. You could easily both of you could place some blame, shame, or guilt on each other. And it's very clear that you're removing that from your family dynamic, which is going to break a lot of generational patterns.
Mm-hmm. See, you don't give yourself enough credit.
Yes,
Thanks.
yes, you are very welcome. So tell us more about your business and how you help people.
Well, we specialize in farms.
Oh.
I think you probably heard me say that. I'm not sure if you've ever heard me say that.
I don't
before
think-
on other
I don't know that I've caught it, but I
Okay.
definitely knew there was the insurance piece.
Yeah. So we specialize in farms, and I guess where I was going with that is insurance is there for the time when you need it the most. When you've got that major claim on your house, your roof is destroyed, tree falls on your car, your home burns down, or anything like that, which is great, which is important. You need the insurance there to help you rebuild after a major catastrophe. Now, where I was going with we specialize in farms is, without farms, there's no food. No farms, no food. It's there. It's
Very
real.
basic. Yeah.
Now imagine that farmer is out there doing it on his own and his house burns down. He's not going to have that farm anymore. He's not going to have a place to live. He's got to get rid of his livestock and just to try and rebuild, maybe, sell all of his animals off. So where we help now is we're not only helping that farmer to rebuild, but we're helping the people that are dependent upon that farmer's food.
Super passionate. That's very holistic on your insurance. Sometimes there's, and by no means is this, I'm sure you hear this often, so please don't take this in the wrong way, but insurance, there's this I need to quickly get, meet my bottom line and meet my goals. And of course, that's very important in business across the board. But you clearly have this holistic take on your approach to business. You want to better the world. You want to make a difference. You don't just want to collect a paycheck. And that's at least how I just understood. Am I right? Am I on the right page?
Yeah, no, we actually, that's another one of our core values is putting the client's needs above our own. There's one specific time I can think of where this guy was driving down the road and a turkey flew out and smashed his windshield in.
Oh.
We literally dropped everything to call places, make appointments for this guy, have the glass company come out and replace the windshield on his car, because he was a business owner too. He was trying to run his optometry business. And he's like, honestly, I don't have the time to take this over. I'm flooded with clients right now. My office staff is full. Can you help me? And we're like, well, yeah, that's what we're here for. So we dropped everything else we had going on that day and just focused on him and getting him the repairs that he needed done.
And that's what we believe being an agent is. You know, we always say you need insurance, but you deserve an agent. To us, an agent is someone who can say, I can rearrange my morning. I'm going to take the time to fix the fact that a turkey just flew through your window and you are leaving for vacation tomorrow.
Yes,
That's
and
right,
you're
yeah,
breaking
Patient too.
yeah, and you're breaking the stigma of what insurance really means. And I'm thankful for that, because I have such a with insurance and the fact that we need to have insurance. Like, I think I said this to Renee, you know, I have homeowners insurance. Why do I also need an umbrella policy? Like, that to me is just such an infuriating thing. That's my bone that I'm picking with society, not with insurance people. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel that way. And so when you're talking about the agent, you're not talking about the insurance or the need for insurance or any of the things and how our society runs. You're talking about the human behind the phone that is kind of like that extended family member who you can call on when you need it, and they will be there for you. And in the event of an emergency, they'll know how to talk to all the different people to get you the help, instead of you having to use your assertive communication skills to get what you're needing out of the situation. Having the right agent for your family, for your business, for all of your insurance needs is really important.
Yeah. And that's why we value where we represent, because we can put it all in one basket for someone. So they're not trying to, you know, because sometimes things have a ripple effect into multiple policies. So having the ability to have one person communicate for you versus multiple, and obviously sometimes that's not avoidable, but if it's avoidable and we can take care of someone at that level, that's our goal.
Yeah, so cool. I love it. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for asking.
You're very welcome. So tell us, how can people find you?
She would know that much better than me.
I feel like I did all the talking, so I was waiting. So we're on Facebook and Instagram at Bayless Insurance. We also have a website, baylessinsuranceagency.com. And if they want to just give us a call, our phone number is 603-450-2401.
I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.